Title: Stories They Don't Teach in Schools, Episode 6. Subtitle: Black Wall Street. The day prosperity was bombed from the sky. They called it Little Africa, a place of success, of brilliance, of black excellence. Built from the ground up, doctors, lawyers, business owners, families. They had created something powerful, something the world said was impossible. But on one hot summer night in 1921, that dream went up in flames. Not by accident, not by nature, but by hate. This is the story of Black Wall Street and the massacre they tried to erase from American history. It began in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood district, home to more than 10,000 African Americans, stood as one of the most prosperous black communities in the nation. There were grocery stores, hotels, barbershops, restaurants, and theaters. The streets were lined with brick buildings, shining cars, and the smell of hard-earned pride. In a world built to keep them out, black families had built their own, and that was a problem. To many white residents of Tulsa, Greenwood wasn't a symbol of progress. It was a threat. Whispers began to spread. Resentment grew, and all it took was one lie to set everything ablaze. On May 30th, 1921, a young black man named Dick Rowland was accused of assaulting a white elevator operator named Sarah Page. There was no proof, no witnesses, no evidence, but the accusation alone was enough. Within hours, newspapers ran headlines of a Negro attack. The city exploded with tension. White mobs began to gather outside the courthouse where Rowland was held, demanding justice. But black residents of Greenwood had seen this before. They knew what justice meant in the South. So dozens of black veterans, men who had fought for their country in World War I, armed themselves and went to the courthouse to protect Rowland. What happened next was chaos. A gun went off. No one knows who fired first. And within moments, the night sky filled with bullets. By dawn, all hell had broken loose. Thousands of white rioters stormed into Greenwood, looting homes, burning businesses, and shooting anyone who dared to resist. They set fire to churches. They dragged men into the streets. Women and children ran through the smoke, tried to escape the inferno consuming their world. But the horror didn't stop there. As the city burned, planes, yes, airplanes, flew overhead, dropping firebombs onto black neighborhoods below. It was one of the first times in American history that citizens were attacked from the sky on their own soil. By the time it was over, more than 35 city blocks were reduced to ash. Over 1,200 homes were gone. Hundreds of lives were lost. Thousands were left homeless. And Black Wall Street, once a symbol of strength and possibility, was wiped off the map. In the days that followed, the story was buried. Officials called it a riot, not a massacre. Insurance companies refused to pay claims for the destroyed businesses, labeling it an act of rebellion. No one was charged. No one was held accountable. And the city, ashamed, complicit, and silent, moved on as if it had never happened. For decades, survivors were forbidden to speak of it. Families carried the trauma in whispers, passing the truth down quietly, so it would not die completely. It wasn't until nearly a century later that the world began to uncover the full scale of what happened in Tulsa. The bombs, the bodies, the buried truth. The Tulsa massacre wasn't just a story of destruction. It was a warning, a reminder of what hate can do when progress is seen as a threat. And yet, it is also a story of resilience. Because even after the smoke cleared, survivors began to rebuild, brick by brick, heart by heart, refusing to let their legacy be erased. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, if you believe the truth should never be buried, subscribe, follow, and stay with us as we uncover the stories they don't teach in schools.